city councils in 21. We have this special city council meeting to do a couple of things. We do have a topic tonight that we need to discuss that's kind of an emergency, as well as reviewing some city administrator applicants during our executive session. So there's really, other than discussion and possibly a decision on what to do with the first topic, there shouldn't be any more decisions made after that. So it will be a brief meeting, but we wanted to publish it today to make sure we show the transparency and let you know what we're working on. So with that said, we will start with invocation. Manuel, would you mind?
Sure. Heavenly Father, we're so thankful for all that you do for us, Lord, for giving us wisdom through counsel. And Lord, I just pray that you give us the ability to make wise decisions, Lord, with the finances, Lord, that you've entrusted to this city. I pray a blessing over Lamar. And Lord, we're thankful to live in this wonderful city. Bless us as we make decisions today. In the name of Jesus, amen.
Amen. Jerry, would you lead us in the pledge?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, the time is now 6:01. I'll call the meeting in order. Roll call.
Joe Gonzalez.
Here.
Rafael Rodriguez.
Here.
Jerry Jenkins.
Here.
Kurt Crespin.
Here.
Oscar Riley.
Here.
Manuel Temez.
Here.
Anne Marie Crampton. Here. Kristen McCray. Here. Lance Clark.
Here. Okay, we don't have any concession items, consent agenda items, so we'll move right into the item number 1, which is discussion and possible action for replacement of engine number 1 fire truck. So this is brought in by Chief Burkhart. Would you like to speak on that?
I would, sir. So some background information. We do our annual pump testing for our ISO, of course annually. And this year, one of our trucks did not pass. Now we do this for the ISO rating to keep it as a 3 right now. We have to meet a certain gallon per minute capacity for our community, and we do that through various engines. Well, right now, one of our engines, of course, is down getting repairs. This one has failed its pump test, so it's no longer a certified fire pump. So now we're sitting about 3,000 gallons a minute under our rated capacity that we need. So we're looking by right now to get what we need going. With that, we've decided to go out and start looking for either A, parts, or B, a replacement truck. Finding parts for a 30-year-old truck's getting hard, plus whatever national shortages are going on right now is just insane. Talked to our vendor, a pump rebuild repair would be between $40,000 and $60,000, depending on how long it's going to take to get the parts, or if there are parts available. And the pump might not fix it. It could be the engine's just getting old as well. The actual motor, I guess. Better say that, because when you're talking about fire engines and engines at the same time. So then we could move up to start repairing the engine as well. And still might not fix it. So when we're trying to look at replacing a 30-year-old apparatus, we went to our vendor and said, all right, well, what's on the market? What do we have that we can get in here quick to fix this? We've already been contacted by ISO about a month and a half ago, 2 months ago, to start the ball rolling for our evaluation this fall. It'll be done with all the departments in this area. So we know they're on their way. They're coming to look and to rate us. Does anybody have questions about ISO, what it really is? So they go through and rate both your communication system, so 911, they rate the fire department, and they rate the water supply system. So they take those 3 and they get you your rating. And what that does is places a schedule for how much you pay for homeowners insurance or property insurance. So for every rating you can drop or change is about $100 a year on homeowners insurance that you'll save. So, any more questions on that? All right, so we have 2 options in front of council tonight. Now, I love how small they make these things, because typically they're on a big CAD computer or large sheet of paper. So the numbers I'll be referencing are down here in the bottom right-hand corner. We have 2 different job numbers, and those are also reflected in the proposals. Job number 35779 AD is an already completed truck. It's one of their demo trucks. So these trucks will go around to shows or to conferences to sit there and just get their product out in the community. So it has a little over 2,700 miles on it already. The big red ladder truck we have downstairs, it was a demo truck as well, so it made the show circuit. If council decides to move forward with anything, this evening, the delivery could be between 30 and 45 days to get us back up and going. If you look on the proposal sheet, they have listed out some additional generators. For that price, I think we can spend money locally and go ahead and go to a local vendor like Napa or A1 or someone and get a new generator for a lot cheaper than what they're quoting out on these. And this truck is spec'd out for what we need. The right size water tank, right size pump. Excuse me. Has our foam capability we need, the storage compartment space that we need. And again, is already completed. Option 2 that we have listed out here is going to be 36683 AD. This truck is not built, so what they do is they make these stock trucks. So they'll go through and run 15, 30 customer trucks through the line, so bigger departments like Denver or Springs or somewhere like that, they will be ordering a lot of trucks. They'll throw a bunch of theirs and then they'll drop one of these stock trucks in, just every so often. For instances like this where someone's needing a truck now and can't wait. So this is a stock truck, it's not built yet, and we're looking anywhere from 90 to 180 days out on it, if everything goes well on the build. The one thing this truck does not have is the foam capability that we need. We would have to option that in. It'd be between $16,000 and $20,000 extra on top of the price they're quoting on that proposal sheet.
You said 16 to 20,000?
16 to 20,000. And attached to those proposal sheets, I also listed the actual proposal option list if you want to go cross-eyed for a while and compare. Took us about 2.5 days to go through all of them and make sure it has what we need. I'd take any and all questions, whatever you guys have.
So, I asked you earlier about the engine, how it's tested and stuff. And I guess you don't mind explaining it to the rest
Oh,
of the
yeah, no problem. So when they go and do these tests, we have a third-party company come in, so that way it's certified, UL certified, that it's been tested to a specification. So that pump down there is a 1,500 GPM pump, and it has to make certain capacities. It has to make the capacity of 1,500 gallons a minute. Then it'll also have to make capacities based on 75%, 50% of that rating. Both the pressure and the gallons per minute has to be met. Whenever that gentleman was in, there was the last truck that we were testing, and he called and said, "Chief, you need to come over, your truck's not passing." So, all right, so I went over. We looked it over to make sure everything was set right, everything was flushed. We even took the truck for a few seconds and flushed it backwards in case there's any scale or something in the water line got blown up into it and into the intake of the pump. So we went ahead and took some time, held it up for a while, and then retested the truck, and it still produced identical results. So the pump is just wore out.
Or it could be the engines.
Or it could be the actual engine, yes.
Okay.
Yeah, we do one or two things, and you gotta fix one to figure out the other, so.
Gotcha.
Is there like an hourly rating on those, that's normal within a year, so many hours usage, or?
So it's all gonna be dependent on the fire department itself. You know, a lot of departments, say a metro department, would run their pump a lot more than what we typically catch here in a year. So theirs would run out sooner than earlier. Typical replacement on these fire trucks is around the 20-year mark, and this one's a 30-year truck.
I guess I was just trying to compare if there's a standard of what the expected usage is
Right.
in a year and what usage we've had in a
Right.
year, if it's.
In a year, and this truck, since it's our older truck, it is in the last out position already. So since it's moved from this building to the other one, it's mainly just a maintenance. Fire it up in the mornings, make sure everything runs, is lubricated, and then shut it back down and back it back in. It doesn't typically catch the fires that these trucks down here at Station 1 do.
How long have we owned this truck?
30 years.
30 years.
Yeah.
What do we do with this truck?
I'm sorry?
What do we do with this truck?
So we looked at the used market, just to try to get a comparable, what could we expect to get for it, and it's between $20,000 and $25,000. Those were some bigger branded trucks like Smeal or Sutphen, E1s. This is a Beck, and Beck went out of business about 3 years after we bought this fire truck. So there aren't many Becks out there to compare it to. In fact, I've only seen one other Beck in my life, and that was on Facebook or TikTok one night. So the next option would be to donate to a local department. I was thinking like Grenada. I know we donated to Hartman, one here a while back. So.
The both truck meets the specifications except
No,
the one needs the phone.
the one that needs the phone, they would still need the phone, we would have to option that in. But the one that doesn't need any additional is the 35779.
Demo.
The demo, yes. The one that does have the pictures of.
But you said with the phone would be about 16,000.
16 to 20 extra, yes. So then we're also looking at between 90 and 180 days.
I guess what's the difference, because even if you had the phone, okay, let's say at the 2020 mark, you'll be about 570
Right.
with the one that still hasn't been built.
Right.
But you're at 590 with the other one. I guess what's the major differences between the two that makes that price of a difference right now?
So the largest difference is this one here is outfitted with what they call the TAC4 front suspension. Basically, it's just an independent front suspension, whereas the other one is a lower rated weight suspension. I think the TAC4, remember from the specs, is like a 19.5 front, and the other one's like a 16,000 pound rating. So it's a heavier duty front end, which, take what you want on that. That's one of the larger items.
Hold on, so
But that
It's a little-
20,000 would cover a generator.
so your less expensive one has the 20,000 pound axle. But so you're saying that the TAC 4 axles are more independent?
Right.
Okay. Which it kind of,
Yeah, I mean,
We got
I've seen it at the factory, I mean, we do have dips, and we do have some rougher terrain, but, I've seen it at the factory, I could take it or leave it, but that's the major expense in this one, is so whenever you move up to that different suspension, they call it an Enforcer chassis instead of a Sabre chassis.
because I'm looking at everything else, is almost
Right.
identical.
So if you have a preference, what would it be and why?
My preference is the more expensive one. The only reason I'm saying that is it's a quick turnaround delivery. If we go with the next one, of course, it could either be into this year or into next year, whereas our evaluation's coming up, and that's where I'm running into my issue. And if you average out, say, even if we do add the phone to that one, like Rodriguez was asking, it's about 20,000-ish difference. And if we do financing for 10 years, we're paying, in my mind, a $2,000 a year convenience fee. But my biggest deal is the evaluation. That's going to have the largest impact to our community, let alone safety of firefighters.
When do you have to have it up to specs?
When is your test?
Evaluation, we don't know yet. Like I said, we were contacted about that month and a half ago about getting everybody rounded up in the same kind of email group saying, hey, we're going to be coming. So it could be, he was talking later fall, earlier winter, so somewhere November-ish.
I mean, when do they do the ISO rating?
Yeah, that's when our evaluation will be, sometime around November. Yeah.
Okay.
You mentioned that you need a generator on this thing. The one that's didn't pass the certification now, we can't take the generator from that and put it on this one here?
We can, we've been having issues with that generator. It's
Okay.
not as old as the truck. I think it was around before I was, so 22 years. I started cutting my teeth on that generator,
That's
so.
just as old as the truck.
Yeah, it's getting close. But yeah, it's an Onan, which is a decent brand, but at the same time, it's, the auto choke doesn't work on anymore. We've had to replace quite a few parts on it, which are also getting harder to find. So,
But I thought, I heard that it was already scheduled for
One of those.
replacement?
It was on the asset replacement list, yeah. Now, the roadmap that we did use, whenever we put it together was with John, there was some, John wanted to recognize what was needing replaced now, so we had like 2 items that were replaced same year, which was an unbelievable amount. And that never got updated to show, hey, split those up and move them forward. So it was due to be replaced in 19, whenever we were building that asset list.
So how are we going to do this?
Well, I'm going to have to go out for financing, of course. So I would go out directly if you directed me to do that and see if I couldn't get financing back in here within probably 3 weeks, 4 weeks would be the quickest I could get a commitment on financing, probably, and get that set up. That's the best we could do. There's no way we could buy either one of these outright.
Right.
So,
Well, so on these, I'm looking at them, and the one that you'd have to wait longer on is a little less expensive, so it would be, it would cover the difference for the new generator as well as,
Right.
but also I was noticing the warranty on the axle's a little bit better and some of the other items that were, as far as warranty, since it's brand new off the floor.
Right. So with the demo trucks, whenever they sell them, you get a brand new truck warranty, just the same as it would be built. That's how they handled with this other one as well.
Okay, I was just comparing them and just noticed that
Right.
one
Yeah.
difference, so.
And in some ways, it's a little bit proven.
The truck itself.
The demo. I mean, so the other one coming off.
Right,
The other
right.
one coming off, you don't know what problems
Right.
they
You know,
encounter.
so this
The
says,
demo's already had a few demos.
right, it's had some demos, it's had some braking miles on the motor, and stuff like that, so.
Okay.
One thing I would just want to say, if you guys, I've been in several fires before and seen lots and lots and lots of water been put in on fire, like the house fires, and even then they can't get them under control. If you guys ever get a chance to see that, I know you guys got a fire, you guys, I'm worried about calling
Right.
council members, but those fire trucks put out a lot of water, and sometimes that's not even enough to get the fire out. Just wanted to say that, so.
Well, there's no doubt that we need it. Now it's just finding the money to purchase this thing. And we just approved the budget and we added extra money for the sanitation department on the compactor there. Here's just a thought, for the council, you know what I mean? Stephanie Gonzalez presented us something with that. And, I kind of rode the fence there until Lance asked the question if we had the option to opt out of that on the MOU there. And we
On
weren't.
which one?
The Stephanie Gonzalez proposed the
Oh, the housing?
housing project here.
Yeah, that's a different bucket, but yeah, I see what you're
Okay,
saying.
what I'm
Yeah.
saying is that if we opted out of that, then that's less money, that gives us more money to do with what we have with. And because we got our water project that's coming up that we know next year that we're gonna have to come up with, what, 80 to 90,000 for that. Is that correct?
Oh, the 90,000 for
Yes, for
the
the,
conduit.
Yes, the conduit.
90,000 for the conduit, yeah.
But that's already, you figured we're getting the money for
right,
that.
and that's out of a different fund, and sanitation would be as well. So this would be a general fund expense.
Right, but financing $590,000 by the time you figure in the percent, we're looking well over $620,000 or $30,000 for this thing extended over 10 years based on what we already approved on for the budget for 2021. That's going to put us way out there, and what I'm saying is, if we look at what's happening right now in our world and what's going on even over in Pakistan or Afghanistan, with the commotion and stuff like that, how is that going to affect us here in the United States? Will the money dry up? I mean, because we're expected to get the $1.9 million, but you have a vision with the building there, but what we need right now is our truck, that's a definite need for our citizens, and so I'm just thinking out loud.
No, I appreciate it.
Just thinking out loud.
So the reason why we did that the capital list with all of the department heads was because these pieces of equipment will come up every few years. I mean, we have to replace a compactor every 10 years.
Right.
We have to replace a fire truck every 20 years. Police cars every 5 years, so, and it was getting to a point where we'd have 15 of them come in at the same time. In 1 year, like he said, we had an ambulance and a fire truck come in, and it was over $1 million. And, the council was like, oh my gosh, what are we gonna do? So that's why we asked them to put them in a cycle, so that way it was easier to manage as far as, the rotation of getting and leveling it out for Kristen as far as payments and finance. So that was the intent of it, because we're always gonna have those. Either we pay cash up front and pay for it all at once, or we stretch it out over the term that we use it. So whether it's a 10-year note or a 5-year note, we stretch it out whatever the use is. So I guess what I was saying is I think we're always going to have those expenses, whether it's now or next year, and you'll see that in our budget. But this one was supposed to be in 2019. It was scheduled for 2019. We put it off for 2020 because something else came up. I don't remember what else.
COVID.
Well, no, 20 was COVID. 20 was COVID, because we were going to put it off until 20, and we put it off because of COVID. But I don't know why we paused it in 19. Do you remember?
We purchased one in 19, didn't we?
Yeah, well, it was 18, but then came
Came
19,
due in 19. But, and we've talked about this, him and I, and Anne Marie and I, that we need to look at that. That isn't a realistic schedule to me. There's
Okay.
no way we can finance 2 fire trucks in 1 year. I mean,
Right.
it's just not feasible. And I don't want to wait anymore 30 years.
Right.
I give them a life of 10 years, realizing they will last probably, some of them 15, some of them 20. I don't want to take them clear to 30, because we're going to be in this situation. So we've got some work to do on that fire replacement schedule, and him and I have talked about it, so we're going to sit down and work on that. I do have payments on 2 fire trucks right now. One is going to be done in '25, and one is going to be done in '27, and those are our largest payments. Honeywell in the general fund ends next year. So
Honeywell does?
Either next year, I'll have to look, it's either 22 or 23. It does continue in the water, but that general fund payment will be going away. So that's going to free up some more dollars for our capital. So I'm going to have to take a look at the capital budget that you guys approved and see where that payment's going to take us, and if we're going to have to, do without some other things, or see how we shake out. So, and I haven't gotten it to that point yet. I haven't had the time to, I've been working on it, I'm just not there yet. So I feel like, it's something that we're going to have to do. We may have to just adjust the 22 budget, I'm not sure. I do have some money in Building Finance Corp. that, we're paying back from sanitation and ambulance that I could use for this year's payment, and then get it budgeted in '22 to carry it out the 10 years, because it will be another 10-year lease. So that's where I'm at right now. I realize that we need it. It's going to affect our public. It's affecting our pump capacity, which puts our fires people in danger, and I don't ever want to do that. So we could kick a dead horse and say, we should have had a better replacement schedule done by now, but he was taking the direction of his boss at the time. And I didn't have a lot of input at that time. Since then, things have gotten better. I've got a lot more input. We do a lot more realistic approach. So I feel like we can take that schedule and we can make it work, because in '23, we've also got 2 more budgeted in the same year. So we're going to have to work on that replacement schedule. So that's what I know right now, and I'm going to leave it up to you guys to do what you think. I understand his urgency, with wanting to do the one in 45 days. I think we could make it work. We're either going to have to make it work in 45 or 90 to 180. The payment's probably not going to be a lot different based on that price over 10 years. I've got a payment estimate of somewhere around $67,500, somewhere in there. based on the interest rates that we've been getting. Sometimes we can get a little bit lower rate on those longer leases with the more amount, so.
Are we
I'm
looking
hoping
at
to-
2%, 3% for something like
We've been
that?
about 2.8 right now,
2.8?
2.9, but I think I can, at least get that, so I feel like that, I could get that payment at 67, somewhere in there, so. But that's what we're looking at, so, and that's where I'm at, so.
When, whatever we approve, it'll almost be in the 22 budget anyway, won't it?
We're gonna get close. I usually typically make a down payment on those leases is what I offer. I have thought about that. We've done leases in the past where I didn't make that first payment due until next year. So that is an option as well, and we used to do them like that. But typically, we were coming in a budget year where we had that payment already budgeted, so I just did it basically as a down payment and then carried it out 4 more years after that. So, so I don't know. We have some options there to work with too, so. Right now, we do have cash. I have the cash flow. We have some fund balance. And like I said, I do have about 196,000 cash in the 23 fund right now, based on repayments that have been made so far on those other assets we purchased. I don't have the cash to purchase it outright and finance it out of building finance at this point. It's too much. But I do have money in there to at least make this year's and possibly next year's payment. So that's an option as well. I could budget the payments in that 23 fund because financially we treat that as a general fund anyway. It's not a separate fund. So that's my spiel.
Well, I like the direction that you mentioned there, where you're looking for the money and digging. Thank you for that work there and presenting it. I'm open, I'm not disputing that we need the truck. I know you need it. And so I guess we're going to figure out how to get you your truck.
With Joe mentioning those, the art funds that we're going to not SECD, but what was it?
Well, the conduit, Art Valley Conduit and SCED, or SCED.
SCED, yeah.
SCED.
Was that $80,000 that was going to them? Is going to them? And that's not even a guarantee if we're going to get a house?
And we would still
We're
have to
supposed to get
purchase
6
property, though.
houses, we'd have to
Still
purchase property out of that, yes.
It is, I guess, is that a possibility to take that money or even half of it and help give a down payment?
I don't know if we could use that money for
Or
this.
yeah.
Yeah, I'd have
Because
to
of the
find
ARP
out.
fund regulations, I mean, that's why we haven't started anything with the public safety building or anything like that, because we don't know if we can use it for what we can use it for. We know we can use it for broadband and wastewater and certain things like that, but we don't know about the additional. We'd ask
And I
about it.
reached out again today and didn't get an answer yet, so I'm trying to push them a little because we have decisions that we need to make.
We're
But the thing
asking-
with that 80,000 is the one-time payment, and we're looking for 10, payments. So I don't know that it would get us far enough ahead, to not go forward with the project. So that's something that we'd have to look at.
Yeah.
So that's my opinion on that, is I don't know if it's possible and if it's worth it, I guess, just being a one-time payment to them for that, so.
Yeah.
But it's still not a one-time payment realistically if we look at it, because if we got the 80,000 and we'll say, roughly 15,000 for a lot. And if we have to purchase 3 lots, there's $45,000 right there on top of the 80.
Yeah, could be.
No?
That could be.
No, that's supposed to be out of the pooled funds.
Out of the
The
pool.
property was supposed to be bought out of the pooled funds. So we put in our 80,000 into the pool, and they were supposed to buy property out of the pool. Am
Okay.
I thinking of that right?
Okay,
so-
I understood
okay, so
the other
then-
way.
Now, it
Okay.
could be that we need to buy the land, but they don't have that detail yet. So we don't know. I mean, right now, they're trying to hammer that out and get the details.
Okay. Well, I was
The
just,
90,000 to the conduit, now that was a flat rate, one-time fee.
And that's out of a completely different fund.
Right,
So
totally
we really
different
can't
fund
talk.
and-
It's like, it's not even relevant really in this conversation because I can't really use water funds for fire trucks. So
Right.
And they're specific, and that money would have to be budgeted in that fund of money. And it is an enterprise fund, so it is a completely different fund.
Well, just trying to be creative with what I've been involved with so far.
Sure.
On
It
helping
was
to
good.
try and find money to lessen the
Yes,
burden
no,
with
and I
this
appreciate that,
$690,000
yeah.
purchase.
Yeah,
I appreciate that, thank you.
yeah. Because it's definitely a big purchase to have out of the blue.
Well, we've done it before, so I make a motion that we buy the 2021 Pearson Forcer demo, number 35779.
I'll second.
And you'll be happy with that one. I mean, is that,
Right, yeah, no, it's gonna fit our needs,
I
exactly.
mean, you got
Yeah.
everything you guys need? I mean,
Yes.
This just,
Yeah, like I said, we'll get that generator and we'll be whole and complete. Always have to do the generator with either option.
We do have some, their auction money went back into their departments, basically, so he does have
Right, and,
probably almost enough to buy that generator.
yeah.
And we could put this other, the old one on auction and
Yeah.
see how much we can get out of the
Yeah,
auction.
Definitely.
Here's a thought, with that money that we are getting from the retirement from, please correct me, Jeremy, I mean, there was a retirement fund for the firefighters.
That was for the public safety building?
No, I don't believe it was for the public safety.
Yeah.
Oh,
So
okay.
that's
Yeah.
what we're,
Yeah.
Gotcha, okay, all right.
Yeah, we were gonna use that to match with the ARP funds to put them together to make enough
Okay.
for that, but that's where it was coming from on
Gotcha,
that.
all right.
I mean, we could use it for that and scrap the building, but I think we need the building just as bad. But I don't know.
I think if
We do need the building.
Well,
That's,
Well, I agree, but the building can wait another year or so, or
Well,
two,
but
or.
if we did that, we'd have to find financing, and financing on a building is really hard, and you can't get grants for it. So it would have to be a cash, or a loan,
Or we'd have to go out to
or a
the public
bond,
and
or
do a
something,
bond.
yeah. And right now, we have the opportunity of a lifetime where we could pay cash probably for it. And if we can get the ARP funds approved. So I think we don't want to, and that's why I've been so leery about it. It seems like everybody's wanting a piece of those funds until we get an answer. This is a once-in-a-lifetime chance for us
It really
to do
is.
something with, that will last us, forever. So, and so I don't know, I'm leery about ever using it on something disposable, I guess.
Yeah. And that's what we were trying to do is, when we received those funds from the pension fund, the pension was for fire and ambulance, or for public safety. And so our intent was to, since it was for fire and ambulance and police, that we wanted to put it back in that department. So we were thinking we would use it for the public safety building. Well, then the ARP funds came up, which is another 1.9. So that helps between the two of them to bring it in and be able to just pay cash to do a building, which is a huge, huge thing to be able to pay cash to get a building built. So
This
if
doesn't
we can
have-
make it work, it would be quite the feat, something impossible. So that's why I hate to use some of those funds, and that's why I'm always nervous when people come here, like the last few months, everybody's been wanting to meet with me to spend the money for us. So I get what you're saying, though, yeah.
But you want to do something that's big and most beneficial for the city.
It's gonna
You
make an
can nickel and
impact.
dime it on little things and adventures that may not work out. Or we can try to do something that's going to be substantial and very much needed.
that
We've
pension
outgrown
fund was,
ourselves.
is made on the backs of firemen. So why not build them a shrine for their hard work? I'm not saying a shrine, I'm not saying make it elaborate, but, show this.
I understand what you're saying.
This is what you gave us. Thank you so much.
And there's just so
golden
many,
arches.
there's so many,
That's a McDonald's.
so many issues where safety has been, we've had troubles in this building, having the police in this building. And we've
So-
had people running through here with knives and.
What kind of number are we looking at for the building?
So we're
hoping
probably
around
looking at around 3
3.5
million.
million. So,
Around
but I
3.5.
can't even go forward with,
Can we get back on the?
Yeah,
motion?
I'd like to get on the motion and not get sidetracked here. Thank you. So we can have that conversation later and keep talking about that more. But we do have a motion on the floor and a second, and we were asking for final questions. Is there anyone else that has any final questions?
I would like to mention real quick, Jeremy, once this is approved and everything, if there's a time you can set aside to where you guys can demonstrate how the fires, you put them out. None of us want to go in like the last time all that happened.
Yeah.
But something like that,
Not a
I
problem.
think would be really interesting
Yeah.
for our firemen, our city council, and if some citizens want to come and see. But
Most definitely.
I think that would be something really interesting, so we can see
Oh, yeah.
you guys are very hardworking, and it's a lot. And I appreciate, and I'm sure everybody else does, appreciates everything you guys do.
Definitely. Not a problem.
Okay. Any other final questions? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign.
Mine?
Unanimous in favor of?
Motion passed.
Thank you very much, council. I appreciate your time on this.
Congratulations.
Okay, so that took care of the one item we had on the special agenda, other than the executive session. When we come out of the executive session, there will not be any formal decisions made. So with that in mind, do we have any miscellaneous items that we need to go over before we move into executive session?
Just one thing, really, and I'll make this really quick. In the last about 2-3 weeks, I've had a lot of people approach me about a dog park. And I know we have talked about this before, and I don't know if it's getting out that we talked about it, or this is just new interest of the community. And
Kristen's smiling at me
it's
because
probably, is it
We've
you?
been talking, we've been talking.
We have a
about
plan.
it, And we're making a plan, so.
so we have a plan, and it's already in place to do a dog park at the North Gateway Park. Just on the south end by the beach, going west, there is an area between a fire hydrant and the corner of the water. Rick has been measuring that out this week and getting the plans drawn out. It's going to be very basic, very simple to start with. We'll have water troughs there for the dogs. We'll have, 6-foot fencing. But there'll be 3 different sections for the dog park. One section will be for large dogs, the second for medium dogs. And then the third section would be open for community dogs, and that would actually go all the way to the water. So that way you could throw the ball out to the water and the dogs can swim back and forth. So that is the plan. We have that in place. We've been talking about it. We were going to use Conservation Trust Fund money to get that done, and we were actually planning on doing it within the next couple of months. However, we had some additional expense at the soccer field that changed some of our budget at the soccer field. So we're going to end up using a little bit more of that Conservation Trust Fund than we expected. So unfortunately, we'll probably have to wait till next spring to do this after we get our next year's Conservation Trust funding. But at that time, we'll be looking at putting in that dog park at that time. So it is in the plans. We do have a target. We have everything that's working on it. I'm sure there'll be some details that come out in the near future, and we'll hammer out some ideas and bring it back to the council for the formal approval. But just rest assured for everybody that's watching that we do have that in the works.
Thank you.
You bet. Yeah, I'm excited about it too, so
Which dogs get the fire hydrant?
I think that's on the outside. But. So, all right, any other miscellaneous items or questions from the council? Anybody? Okay, seeing none, we need a motion to go into executive session.
So
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second to move into executive session. We have 2 items for executive session. One is for the purpose of determining positions relative to matters that will be subject to negotiations, developing strategy for negotiations, and/or instructing negotiators for review of city administrator applications. And we also have it to discuss the purchase, acquisition, lease, transfer, or sale of real, personal, or other property interests, to discuss negotiations of property sale as the second item. So we will have those 2 items for executive session for this remainder of this evening. Can we get a modification of the motion and second to do both? Can we do both executive on one vote?
Yes.
Okay.
So,
So you have a motion change, second change? Okay. All right, so we do have a motion and a second to enter into executive session for those two items. Any final questions? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign.
Unanimous in favor of?
Okay, we will be entering into executive session. Thank you for joining us on Facebook and YouTube, and we look forward to seeing you at our next meeting.